Sonic. Yeah.
Is the Sonic video the one that taught you?
I know what it is.
Right, we're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another 42 Level 1. I'm one of your hosts, Alice Kennedy, and here with me, as always, the former Twilight Princess of all games, the current Twilight Princess of YouTube, the future king of NFTs, the Uncharted 3 denier himself, the man of many names, but we just call him one, Andy.
I'm going to end up buying an NFT just to piss you off.
Should be an Uncharted 3 NFT.
Uncharted 3 10 out of 10 Greg Miller reviews.
He's right. It's a great game. But anyway, so this is our... It's going to be a shorter show because obviously we're going to cover State of Play when it kicks in about 45 minutes. So thank you very much if you're tuning in and watching this. You're seeing this from around the world. Yes, let's talk about what I'm playing. And I've played feckin' loads. So, also my mum today asked, where can I find your podcast for your 10-year-old cousin to watch? And I'm like, he's not watching my show, mum. Why? I goes,
Nope.
There's a show online where I drink 2 full bottles of wine, and I don't even recall what was said after it, but I said, Mum, after I drink a bottle of wine, every second word's a swear word, and I said after 2 bottles of wine, I could say anything, so he's not watching my show. No.
You know what you should have told your mum? You should have told your mum to watch it first. You watch it first and you see if she thinks it's appropriate.
The things you boys say in that show.
Ali, you're grounded.
No, she wouldn't watch it. It's funny to hear my mum say the words podcast though. We've only been doing it 10 years this September, and my mum today says it's what you do with your friend Andy, a podcast. And I'm like, yep, we've been doing it since the early days.
Yeah.
Where can Keith find it? Keith's my cousin. I'm like, he's not watching the podcast, Mum. Why? And then I told her, and she's like, oh, right, okay, I won't pass that on then. I'm like, I'm being honest. Anyway, Andy, I finished 2 games.
Oh my god.
2 whole games. Well, 1 whole game, I finished off 1. At least I admit doing that, unlike you, who's like, I finished full games when all you did was push unpause and it was roll credits. Finish a game this year, which you'd probably left paused from December 31st. So yeah, so I finished it. I got back into a series. Got back into 2 series. One has given me an entirely new love for it, and one I absolutely fucking hate. I also tried the newest hot freshness of Pokemons this week as well. And also, I played a game called Mr. Prepper. My review should be up on the xboxhub.com pretty soon. Not up yet, but also, Andy is no longer allowed to use Metacritic in arguments against me because I am become Metacritic because a few of my reviews have made their way there. And in fact, Danger Energy, I'm the sole reviewer, so I hold all the power for that game, which is based on power. Oh, the irony. So if Andy ever disagrees with me, I'll just end up writing and changing the review scores until it sits. So, yeah, Andy, so Pokemon Legends I'll get to at the end. So the 2 other games that I played, 3 other games I played Horizon Zero Dawn, played Uncharted 2, and I played Uncharted 3. So let's start with Uncharted. And I played Lost Legacy. So I have only ever, as you, I thought I'd finished Golden Abyss, checking my trophies out. I'm like, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to Andy, you're lying to everyone. I'm pretty sure I played it. That was the first game I had on my Vita, and I was almost sure I finished it. And the trophies weren't added retrospectively, were they? So I just must have...
They were.
Yeah, so I must have just gave up on that game, which is weird, because I remember so much about it. I even remember the puzzle where you have to hold the Vita camera to the light, and weird. Anyway, Uncharted 1, I played back in the day. I don't think I finished that until the collection came out, though. Uncharted 2, I only played when I'd got the collection. And then Uncharted 3 I hadn't touched till the other night. Uncharted 2, turned out I was on the 2nd last level, chapter, whatever it is. So brilliant, finished it. Good story, much better than Uncharted 1. Much better than Uncharted 1. And then I put on Uncharted 3, Andy, and I'd heard the whispers, I'd heard the rumours, I'd heard all you liars tell me without a doubt, that Uncharted 3 was not good. Uncharted 3 sucks. Uncharted 2 was the second coming of Jesus since Axel Foley. And yeah, Uncharted 2 is not as good as Uncharted 3 in any way, shape or form. I know you venomously disagree with this, but Uncharted 3, I think the reason it got a lot of hate was it's very similar to Uncharted 2. It didn't have the big jump. Like, Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2 is like your Assassin's Creed jump. It's a massive jump, and it becomes the staple of the series going forward. However, Uncharted 3 wasn't as big a jump, but Uncharted 3 had the big set pieces, had the fantastic elements going on with a mansion in France going on fire and you have to escape, which was absolutely fucking crazy. You end up like falling out the back of a plane and hanging onto cargo crates and then parachuting onto the cargo plate down to the desert, trying to survive in the desert. You end up having chases through the streets of Yemen. Absolutely brilliant, like horseback chases, like against bandits and bad guys, jumping horse to horse. I did not have a minute in this game that I did not enjoy, and I'm gonna reinforce that once I talk about Lost Legacy, how much I actually enjoyed these. And Uncharted 2, don't get me wrong, Uncharted 2 was enjoyable. I know me and you bickered forwards and backwards quite a lot. However, Uncharted 2 to me, like the most impressive set piece, and I know a lot of folks say, oh, it's set piece. Set pieces make Uncharted in my mind. I think they almost have to walk that fine line of cinema and gaming. Like, you have to have your tense moments, you have to have your... Basically, Uncharted is cinematic, platforming Tomb Raider and shoots. That's Uncharted, and minor exploring, but nowhere near as in-depth as Tomb Raider, because what's the point in explaining something that Nathan Drake is just going to destroy on his way out the door anyway? This man has no respect for history. He seems to like history, but anything he sees, he pulls it down, blows it up, makes it crumble, or breaks something.
Doesn't care about what
Doesn't give
place the treasure is in. As long as he gets the treasure, he gets the fuck out of there. The building can crumble to the ground. The pyramids, knock them down.
Yep.
All that shit. The Taj Mahal, turn the front to the ground. As long as he's got the shiny golden object that he wants, he's happy.
This man would uproot the Eiffel Tower with a pickaxe and knock it down if it meant picking up a gold coin underneath it. However, like I said before, I'd only ever finished Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 was perfect. It was such a good game, lovely graphics, looks really nice. Just out upgradable on PS5, or if you've never played it, play it. I'm sure it was in PS Plus collection. Try it there. I mean, if you don't have a PS5, play it in the Plus collection. So I'm going to do a bit of a retrospective video for this channel that I've never did before. And I'm going to base it on Uncharted and why Nathan Drake is the perfect modern day hero. And that's going to take me a while because I'm going to get footage. But I'm going to go back and play through this series. This is how much I love this. My initial first thought of doing something for this show was I'm going to do a Sonic video. I don't know where to start in that. I'm going to have to think about it. Andy might want to get involved in a Sonic one. And it opens up a whole can of whoop-ass. Andy loves Uncharted as well, but like I've got specific ideas of my viewpoint rather than a shared viewpoint. But with Sonic, that's one we could combine on. So, Nathan Drake is cocky, brash, and arrogant without being sexist and misogynistic, which makes him perfect for modern society, whereas the likes of Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and comparable heroes, they're all sexist. They've all got a sort of not now sweetheart, like slap women in the bum kind of attitude. Nathan Drake doesn't have that. Sure, sometimes he can come across as a bit of a womanizer, he's cocky, but he never brings anyone down that way because of their gender, is what I'm saying. So there's ways I'm going to look at this, and I want to take a whole look at the series. And from the Uncharted videos that I've watched recently, no one's done it the way that I'm going to do it, so I'm looking forward to making that. Yeah, so from a series that I really liked, the two games that I played, being Uncharted 1 and 4, filling in the missing pieces, Andy, of 2 and 3, has made this not just a couple of games that I like, but this is one of the best franchises of all time, like without a shadow of a doubt. And I knew it was always highly rated, and Uncharted 4 I always thought was amazing. Uncharted 1, when I first played it, was a powerhouse itself in the PS3. So then I decided to get Lost Legacy. And you're absolutely right. Like, it's such a good game, and I'm sure when this got announced, it got announced as DLC. It did. I know it did.
It did, yeah.
And then I didn't follow the progression for this, and it halfway through development, it took a different turn and it became its own thing, standalone. It wasn't even DLC at all, and it's brilliant. Do you know, the open world part in Lost Legacy is actually better than the open world bit in Uncharted 4, which was literally just drive through it. There was nothing of interest. You've got statue puzzles where you have to jump platform to platform, or they swipe you and hit you off. Brilliant. You've got wheels to turn, bad guys to take out, jungle to explore, cool puzzle based climbing things to do. And Chloe, I didn't get it. Like you always said, oh, Chloe's the best. I didn't even now that I've played Uncharted 1, 2, 3, 4, I've never thought that. I thought she's cool as a sidekick to Drake. See, in this game though, it makes her really stand out, and it really gives her her own character. I know she had her kind of own character that could stand toe to toe with Drake, but I don't think that it came to the forefront until Lost Legacy. But you can tell with the way that I'm speaking about these games how much I love them, Andy. Like, and it's unreal that I've left them this long, and it's not because I didn't like them. It's just with me, I'll start it, I'll get back to it someday, and I never did. But yeah, with Uncharted, it literally over last week went from those games were really good to this is one of my favourite series of all time now. Like, absolutely love it. And it's so funny now that I've played them, and like this movie isn't Uncharted 1, this isn't Golden Abyss, this isn't Uncharted 2, it isn't Uncharted 4, isn't Lost. This is Uncharted 3, the movie. Like, every scene in that trailer is Uncharted 3, and like the fact that it's young Tom Holland with young Nathan Drake played by Tom Holland, and younger Scully played by Mark Wahlberg. It's like, that's in 3. The bit in the planes in 3. The rumoured underground boats, which turns out to be the city of Atlantis, obviously. Spoilers for 3. But like, that's all lifted straight from 3, and it's made me even more excited by the movie. And see all these people saying, it looks terrible, it looks shit. After recently just playing them, I'm like, if you're fans of the series, how can you say this looks shit when it's exactly like Uncharted 3? Like, I don't...
Because no one likes Uncharted.
No, we're not talking about the true believers, not you lies. You heathen, lying bastards is all I can call you. Keeping me away from one of gaming's treasures, while forcing Uncharted 2 in our face. You can't say anything, you've not played Uncharted 2. Well, guess what now, people? I have. And I'm not just coming for Andy, I'm coming for you. So, Uncharted 3... But... The Uncharted 3 is the movie. Simple as that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So excited for it.
I think it looks good. Like, I'll watch it for sure.
Looks great, Andy. Let's not lie to each other. Looks great. So, aside from that, played Horizon. This is what my notes say. Horizon fucking Zero Shitting Dawn. Right. Brown, dull, lifeless, exposition dump of a game. I don't know what more I can say about this. It's like, it features every horrible Ubisoft open world trope and does it tenfold. Like, here's loads of shit to do that you've no interest in. Oh, here's half an hour of data tapes to listen to so we can tell you the story that you figured out after the very first cutscene. And no, Andy, like you said last night, I don't want to have to play a game and think like a caveman from the future because I read the back of the fucking box. I think, here's my criticism of it. I'm not going to dig into it too much because I want to hear what you've been playing, and obviously we've got to set up for the PlayStation show. I think it's open world for the sake of being open world, and Horizon Zero Dawn would be a far superior game in more of an Uncharted Last of Us semi-open world setting, because the story would be more focused and refined, because some of the side quests are just, what was the fucking...
Complete filler, yeah, totally agree.
So... And the day of those sort of open world games, I'm sorry, they don't have any place in my... And sometimes you're like 15, 20 minutes into one side quest before you realise this isn't advancing story.
Side quest, totally.
So, if this was made like more like Last of Us 2, it's open world, but it's not fully. I think this would be a far better story. And Last of Us 2 and Uncharted 4 proved that you don't have to be open world to be expansive. You can still be semi-open world while keeping the player focused on one path. Whereas this, sometimes I'm like, I've got this marker down, where the fuck am I meant to be going? Like, I don't have the problem with the combat, I don't have a problem with one of the characters, everyone else can fuck off. But like, the story itself is just like, is this all it's got? Like, really? And like, I'm 12 and a half hours in, and Andy's like, oh, the good stuff's just about to happen. I'm like, no, I don't believe it is. Like, if the good stuff was going to happen, I would have seen it by now. But I'm still torn. I didn't actually delete it last night before I went to bed because I'm 12 and a half hours in, and I'm like,
yeah, I think you should just persevere and finish it off because it'll count towards one of your games. We got 24 games.
I know, but it's such a slog. Such a slog.
I love that game, man. I can't wait for the sequel as well. Like, Forbidden West is like probably the game I'm looking forward to most this year. Looks so good. It looks like Assassin's Creed 2.
Gotham Knights, Suicide Squad,
like,
Sonic Frontiers, Breath of the Wild 2. All these games are going to be better than it. So
I disagree with you.
You're allowed to, but you're wrong. So, Pokemon Legends. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I did make a video on this the other night, just after it came out. Sadly, not on launch day because my copy came the day after. Thanks, Amazon. Fast delivery that I pay for every year in advance. It's good. It's better than I thought. It's the advancement I've wanted from the series since Nintendo consoles went 3D and then 64. The Monster Hunter comparisons made me think too much like Monster Hunter. This isn't a Monster Hunter game. It plays like Pokemon. It's an RPG. You're catching Pokemon with Pokeballs. You can walk out in a 3D world and throw Pokeballs and catch creatures. You can throw your Pokemon out the ball and have battles, like turn-based battles, like in the RPG. You can explore. Open world's empty compared to most, but for a Pokemon game, this is the best Pokemon game I've played since Pokemon Yellow, which was the only other good Pokemon game in my opinion.
How's the story? That's what I want to know. How's the story? Because it's built as an RPG.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. So this is built as an RPG, and it's rightly so. Do you want spoilers? Mild spoilers? Not too bothered?
I don't care about spoilers. Go ahead.
Spoilers if you're into Pokemon Legends. Basically, you're from the future. You're a kid sitting with your mobile phone. You're sitting with your mobile phone. So there is a good story. You end up going through a time portal. This is the first half hour spoilers. And you end up waking up on a beach called Prelude Beach, which you see in my gameplay I started on. And you meet this guy who's a professor wearing a silly beanie hat. And he's like, oh, my Pokemon have gone missing, can you help me? And that's when it introduces you to the mechanic of you can walk about, you can sneak, you can hide in grass, you can throw the Pokeball, catch the Pokemon. And then as you progress, you learn that, he's trying to make the world's first Pokedex. You've been taken back, I presume, from the Pokemon universe to a time when Pokemon were a new thing. Some people are still scared of them. They're using Pokeballs that are like so old-fashioned. Like instead of being electronic and zapping them in, it's like steam comes out of them and fireworks at the top, which I hated when I seen it. But in principle, it's kind of nice seeing that when you catch them and the sparkles come out. And then you've got 6 areas. You've got a big giant map, 6 areas, including, and then your village, which is 7. And each area is giant. Like you've got different Pokemon roaming different parts of the field. You've got different clans. You've got alpha Pokemon that are warped with red eyes and they're bigger. You can catch them. Then you've got what they call the totems or hero Pokemon that are like they've gone crazy because of the rift that's opened up in the sky. You've got to try and figure out what's went on with the rift. You've got to report back to your base and you get more story about the clans in the land. Like there's the Diamond Clan and Pearl Clan because obviously this is based in that map back in time. You've got I think it was the Water Clan. You've got all different clans and they've all got problems. You have to go and kind of help them and deal with their people in the forest. You've got to try and encourage people to come to your village, not physically, but if you help out people by doing side requests, they'll come to the main village and kind of, you'll see new houses being built and you can go and visit them. And there was a woman the other night, it's like, oh, I can hear ghosts in my, and you went in and it's not, it was just like what's the baby Pikachu called? A Pichu was hiding behind a cupboard and she's like, oh, I rescued this at the beach. And then there was a guy outside that was a guard that's like, I'm too scared to catch my own Pokemon. I want one. I want a Wurmple. I want to see him evolve. So you go out and you catch a Wurmple, you bring it back to him, and Wurmple's like a Caterpie. And he's like, oh, that's cool. A few missions later, I forgot all about it. I went and accidentally spoke to him, thinking nothing of it, Andy, because now he's just an NPC standing next to the Wurmple. And he goes, oh, what's that? The Wurmple evolves. So now I'm like, well, I need to see this evolve into like the butterfly now. So you've got all the side quests going on like that. You've got a side main mission where a girl comes up and wants you to help her quell the spirits in the land. There's 107 spirits hidden. You've got people in the field trying to decipher crazy symbols and you have to try and figure out that. You've got the plot of the 3 sisters who are out to do bad. They're kind of like the Team Rocket, but yeah, it does have a story. It's not just, okay, you're 10, have this vicious wild animal and go and try and kill other child's wild animal with it. And then once you're done, you have to go and beat like 8 adults once you've been to like 8 gyms, and then you get a trophy and that's it. But you can't stay at home now. Off you go out with this rabid fire-breathing dog, Cheerio. No, it's nothing like that. You're an adult. They even address you as being 15 at least. So there's none of the tropes from the old games at all, which is good for me. There is progression because you get 10 ranks in your is it the Survey, the Galaxy Society? Can't remember the right name for them, but you join them and they've got 10 different ranks, and each rank is kind of like your gym badges in a way, but they're not earned the same way because your Pokédex isn't just catch a Pokemon and move on. You have to catch a Pokemon, and then because he wants to make a complete Pokédex to get all the information, which was already there for like Professor Oak in the original, you have to then go and like, how many times have you fought it? How many times have you seen it use this move? How many times have you seen it at night time? How many times have you snuck up and caught it? How many so you can do 10 of these mini quests for each Pokemon to complete their entry. Sure, you can just catch one and be done, but if you catch 10, it completes them and ticks it off in the Pokédex. But then you can go in further and go, okay, I need to fight it 10 times at night. I have to catch it 25 times via stealth. So there's all these intricate missions for each Pokemon, side quests, villagers, and then you've got your main quest of finding out why you're there, how you got there, and trying to calm all the tribes down at the same time because they're all about to the borderline war. So yeah.
Are you trying to get home? Like trying to get back to the future?
I don't really want to go back just now, but yeah, I'm assuming that's kind of your end goal.
That's like the guy's ultimate goal. Okay.
I think so. Although it doesn't really advertise that at all in the marketing that you're actually from the game. Because you go. Yeah. The funniest thing, and if you watch my video, I'm like, why are they not questioning that I've got a mobile phone? Like, you've got a mobile phone, and the guy's just like, okay, cool, yeah, whatever, guy. But on your main village, you've also got your hairdressers where you can change up. You've got your own quarters. You've got the farming field where you can plant seeds, because what you can do in the field is throw your Pokeball with the Pokemon at the tree or the object if you can't get to it, and it'll shake the tree, you get the berries. There's basic crafting, so buying Pokeballs is expensive because they're kind of this new thing, but you can craft them in the field. You just have to collect some of these stones and some of the apricot berry things, and you just hit A and it crafts however many it can. Same for like your potions, you find like plants and stuff, a bit like Zelda crafting, except you can do it on the fly. So yeah, absolutely wonderful game. How Pokemon, I can't, if they release another Pokemon that's how it has been for the last like 20 odd years, I can't play it anymore because that formula is dull and boring. The only two I've ever finished, like I said, was Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Sword. And this one, not only do I want to finish it, but I've had the first interest to fill a Pokédex since the original 150 Pokemon, Andy, because the other good thing, and the last thing I'll say about it, because I'll say watch my video, is it's on the channel either below or wherever, I don't know how it works. No garbage Pokemon, no keys Pokemon, no ice cream Pokemon. Nice. Every Pokemon looks like either a creature or it's one from the original game. So I'm like, great, there's an Onix. Great, I know what that is. Cool. There's a Pikachu. Great, that looks like a fish. That's all I need. Excellent. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant game. Absolutely phenomenal. Downside of it, and this is not anything to do with you bringing it up, no voice acting. And I don't care about the Pokemon not speaking because this is the game universe and... But anyway, the voice acting for the main characters, never mind the Pokemon, the next time they do this, they kind of have to have at least some of it, because not every RPG does this, because some of them have minor speaking sections and the rest is read. Like I'm sure Kingdom Hearts 3, a lot of it's still text boxes for being a Square Enix game. But in this game, you can definitely feel like, oh, I've got to read all this. And because it's actual story, you're like, okay, I'm going to have to read all this. So I'm stuck at the moment. I'm having to fight a giant. Remember Growlithe, the tiger from the original ones that breathe fire? Well, he's just turned giant and he's turned into like the hero Pokemon of the land. So I have to kind of calm him down. And those boss battles involve me throwing like potions at him. But unfortunately, this is at the side of a live volcano. So yeah. Really good game. Really, really great game. I even got to the point where I asked Fraser if there was an anime about this version, and he said no, not yet. So, yeah. So that was it. Also, bonus feature. My wee one, Lexi. Well, not my wee one. my big girl. She's 4. She's been sitting in. I don't play Uncharted when it comes to cutscenes because there's a bit too much swearing and violence in that for her age. But see, when I'm exploring jungles and stuff, she's always like, "Jump there, daddy! Oh, go there!" And I can see her moving with it. And then like she was watching a tablet tonight as I was playing because I always try and get a wee game before the show. And she's like, "Can I have a shot?" And I'm like, "Yep. I'm never going to deny you a shot at this, no matter what. I'm a gaming dad. That's what happens." She was doing really well for being 4. I mean, this is a girl that usually plays like match 3 games on her iPad and stuff. She occasionally plays Spyro, but I mean, she was like, "What do I do?" And I'm like, "Drive that way." And she drove, and then she's like, "How do I get the door open?" And I'm like, "You need to go back to the truck," which took a wee while, but then she figured out she actually managed to get the hook from the front of the truck and attach it to the door. And then the cool thing was, I said, "Go back to your car," and she actually went, instead of just doing it, she went, "But why do I need to go back?" She wanted to know what she was doing next. So I was like, "This is awesome that you're doing so well." But then I said, "No, it's bedtime, and Mummy will be back home soon, so you can't be seen playing this game." But yeah. Anyway, that was me. If you want to see my Pokemon Legends, I played like an hour of it the other night. It's on the channel as well. And yes, I'm in black and white or sepia. It's because it was old time Pokemon. I thought it'd be funny. I didn't realise so many people I knew were just thick as mints. Why do you?
Yeah.
Why do you get that tone?
Yeah.
It's because it's old fashioned
Did I
Pokemon.
get it?
But anyway, have a look there. But I'd say buy Pokemon.
I might. We'll see.
No, not
maybe.
you. Just people in general. I don't care what you.
Oh.
You like shit.
Okay.
You like really bad
Well,
games.
The Pokemon not being voiced would actually make no difference to me because I play almost every Switch game on silent anyway.
Why?
Because I don't turn the sound up on it. So I'm usually when I'm playing Switch, I'm usually watching TV at the same time. So I've usually got it on silent.
Wow, that's weird.
No, it's just the way that I'm like.
It doesn't matter for Smash, obviously. Like I would see myself doing it for Smash or Mario Kart or something, but
What story games are on the Switch?
oh, plenty. You've got like No More Heroes 2. You've got Zelda Breath of the Wild.
No, there's no story in that game.
There's no story in Zelda Breath of the Wild. There's no story about the hero of time waking up.
The main character does not speak. You do not need to say
It doesn't have to, and he's still better than that brown piece of shit that was playing the other night. So anyway, one of the best games of the time. The Witcher 3 has got plenty of story in it. You've got Shin Megami Tensei 5. You've got
I haven't played it. Yeah, I did the sound on Witcher 3, but I decided it was too potato quality and I played it on PS5.
There's loads of games with story though.
There was one game.
You've got Control, obviously, there. You've got Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, 3. You've got Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 10.
It
doesn't matter if you've played them, you're asking me
also, they are not voice acted games. You don't need the sound for those games.
There's no voice acting in Control. Is it not?
No,
I
in
didn't
Final
realise.
Fantasy.
I didn't realise it was in Control.
That's an old game.
Why would you silence the soundtrack for Final Fantasy 7, Andy? It's just mad.
Well, I don't think I would ever play on Switch.
Oh, this isn't for you. Your question. You're now changing the parameters, Donald Trump. What you asked was, what are the story games on Switch? And these are just the ones that I can recall from memory.
Those games don't need the sound because there's no voice acting.
Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 2. What about Resident Evil Revelations, Resident Evil Revelations 2? Like loads of games.
I would never.
That was not the question.
Never.
That was not the question. The question was,
Never.
what story games are on the Switch? There's plenty. Now you've got Professor Layton. You've got Professor Layton's daughter, whatever it's called, is on the Switch as well.
Okay.
Let's just
None.
look at all the story games on the Switch.
None that I would play. None.
No, that wasn't the question.
It doesn't let me play. Anyway, I did play 2 games this week.
List games.
Okay, well, I
Night in
don't
the
know
Woods, plenty of stories. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, actually voice acted as well. Firewatch is on the Switch. Ooh, Golf Story is a story game. Octopath Traveler. Pokemon Legends, obviously, that we were just talking about. Tales from the Borderlands, Andy, you like that game as well. Fire Emblem, I forgot about that one. Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Okami, great story-based game there. Dragon Quest 11, one of the greatest RPGs of all time. What about that one, Andy? Metro Redux, that first-person shooter, that's right there, Andy. You forgot about that one, Andy. Loads and loads of games. You've got Skyrim, full Skyrim. Why would you turn that off? Final Fantasy 12, one of your favourite Final Fantasies of all time. Are you mad? Monster Hunter Rise 2. Oh, the stories game. That's full of story. Absolutely. Monster Hunter Rise itself. Forgot about that one as well. The Complex. That seems like it's not really a game at all, and it's only just story, Andy. You've got the After Party, Andy. You've got Oxenfree, which was a great story. Gone Home. Not too much story to be fair in that one, so I'm going to take that one right out there. But yeah. Oh, Immortals Phoenix Wright. How can I forget about that? It's technically Assassin's Creed as well. We've got Assassin's Creed Black Flag. We've got Assassin's Creed Rogue. We've got Assassin's Creed Brotherhood trilogy coming soon. Well, sorry, Ezio trilogy, but Brotherhood's the only one that matters. Let's have a look at what other story games we've got in the Switch, Andy. Will we, Andy? Or are you just going to accept that there are story games in the Switch, you son of a bitch?
That's plenty. No, I get the story games, but like most of the games you must draw.
You've now changed the parameters. You're now Boris Johnson.
Sure. Most of the games that
Boris Johnson. Story games
Most
in the Switch is the answer.
Most of the games that you've listed there are older games that I've already played on other platforms and don't need to play on Switch. Or they're games that are
That's fair enough.
text heavy.
Not all of them.
Text heavy.
Not all of them at all.
And you can easily play them
The strange thing is that I just proved you wrong, and you just
anyway. That is how I play on Switch. I play silent on Switch.
Yeah, but you said there's no story games. So.
There's no story games that I'm interested in playing. Put it that way. If one comes up, I will play it. With sound on. Like The Witcher. Anyway, I did play 2 games this week. Neither of them were on the Switch. Apart from chipping away at my Smash Bros.
Any of them Uncharted?
Nope. I already played those games. These games are old to me. I played them years ago. They're good games. They're very good games.
Lost Legacy is only like 2-3 year old.
I think it's a bit more than that, but
no, it's not actually.
Because it's definitely more than 3. It's more than 3 years old.
It's absolutely not. It's 3 years old.
Wait. We need to know when did it come out?
I forgot it's 2022. It's 4 year old.
2018, yeah.
Yeah. So it's 4.
Okay, so it's 4 years old. That's an old game at this point.
It's not an old game at all. It's not.
I completed that game 4 years ago.
You're not actually a true gamer. You're not actually a true gamer. That's like saying that
I completed the game 4 years ago.
I'm just saying because it's an old game. It's not an old game. It's not. You're not that modern. Anyway, what 2 games did you play? Let's see what brand new, fresh on the market games you played, Andy. Come on.
I did play a new game, which hold on, I'll tell you when it came out. Because I don't know off the top of my head. But it was on PS5, a PS5 game. Yes, it was. This game came out only 3 months ago.
Oh, last year. Oh, it's a year old. No, too old. What's the next?
In fact, not even that. 2 months ago. A game called played a game called Chorus.
Oh, it came out.
Chorus.
Yeah.
It came out on the 3rd of December.
I mean, you play that,
so,
but it's last year's game, so I don't really want to. No, not for me.
But anyway, I picked this up because I like to look at the box art. It's got like, I don't know if you've seen it, right? But like, basically, it's got this it's kind of wood on it.
Like that.
Fuck off. But it's basically got this woman on it, and it looks kind of like a third person, like based on the box art alone, right? It looks like a third person action space fighting adventure game. And I'm like, cool. I want to try this. This game looks like it could be interesting, and it seems like there's some spaceship segments in it too. That could be cool. So, boot it up, tried it. It shows you like a cutscene, sets up the world and all that. Cool, fine. And then you're in a spaceship, and then you're still in a spaceship, and you're still in a spaceship, and the entire game is a spaceship combat game, Ali. It's a space game with a story. The story seems like it could be okay. There's like superpowers and stuff in it of sorts, but it's a space combat game. It kind of plays a bit like Starlink, Battle for Atlas. It plays a bit like that, but it's a lot more polished and it's more fun to play than that. But I don't like space combat games, so I was disappointed because this is not good for me. You would love this game. You would absolutely love this game. You loved Starlink.
Apologies for Andy's echo there. I'm just checking your sound, but you keep convincing yourself that I'll play a game from last year.
It's not even 3rd of December. It's 2 months old basically. It's not long ago at all. But you would absolutely love this game. Like if you played Starlink, Star Fox, like these type of games, this game is like that taken to the next level. It's got really good graphics, a good soundtrack and whatnot. I just don't like space combat. It does play better as well, I would say, than Star Wars Squadrons. The shooting mechanics in it are much better. The two things that put me off the game though, that I will warn people about: vibration. Fucking so many haptics, just too many. Like, and I guess you could probably turn them off, but like, I've never had to turn haptics off in a game before. But like, anytime when you're using your faster engines, it's just vibrating, going brrr, fucking annoying. Like, just no need for it. Just don't do it. And then the other thing was checkpointing, and there's missions where you have to go to a certain area, and you have to find like a little thing, and you've got this sort of like an eagle vision type mechanic, like similar to like Assassin's Creed, and you do it and it pings and it shows you like, oh, there's something over there that you can kind of look at, and then you try and go and find over there, and it's like, nah, this is not the thing you're looking for, and you need to go around and look for other things. It's very difficult in the huge 3D space to actually find what you're looking for, because they tend to hide things behind big rocks and that. So once you're out in the kind of like open worldy bit, it took a very long time, I would say, to find like one thing. It's like, find this one thing. I'm like, okay. Eventually, I find it, and then there's a fight, and I'm like, okay, cool. The dog fights are quite fun between like you taking down like pirate ships, whatever. Quite cool, quite fun, but they obviously get a little bit more difficult as the game goes along, and if you die, it's got one of them annoying checkpoints where it doesn't take you back to the beginning of the fight. It takes you back to the beginning of like, oh, you need to find the fucking thing again that you had to find before you fought the guys. And I couldn't find the thing again. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not doing this again. Done with this. I'm like, that was like promising, but I do not like space combat games. That is my takeaway from this. And I had expected, based on box art alone, knowing nothing else about the game, based on the box art alone, that this game would be a third-person action space game, and it was not. It was an entirely spaceship-based game, which was a bit disappointing. But after I played that, I'm like, oh, I guess I really do quite want to play a third-person space action game. So I have one of the best ones that I've never played before installed on my PS5. So I decided instead I would play Mass Effect 2. Which I think was the right decision. So and I'm pleased that I played Chorus, because it led me to Mass Effect 2, which is fucking fantastic so far. I think I've only done like the first 3 missions or something like that. It's just leaps and bounds better than Mass Effect 1. Like, I quite liked the story in Mass Effect 1. The graphics were okay. You can tell it's an old game, kind of polished up a wee bit. Hated the gameplay though. Like, the shooting mechanics in that game were, oh man, very bad, and all the driving and shit, did not like it. This game like fixes almost every issue that I had with the mechanics of Mass Effect 1. Like, unreal. Just the shooting actually works. It's fine. It's not the absolute tightest shooting that I've ever had in a game, but it's very playable in a modern sense. Totally playable. So it's good fun. And the story's absolutely great. And they seem to put a more of a focus on like a lot of cutscenes at the beginning of this game, which I think is awesome, because the story was the strongest part for me of the first game, and they've just carried it on. And I pulled my character over from the first game and just continued her on, because I'm playing as Jane Shepard, and I've just gotten to what was the guy's name again? What did he call himself? Archangel. I've just gotten him. To speak to him and done his mission, but that was fun. There's a cool little twist in there as well that I didn't expect. It was like a nice little callback to the first game. So like that, and I would imagine there's going to be more of these type of things that will happen down the line as well. But yeah, great fucking game so far. Really, really enjoying it. And graphically, I think it looks way better than Mass Effect 1. Gameplay wise, it's way better than Mass Effect 1. And the story is a bit better when the Mass Effect 1 story was already great. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing to play on through this. I've only maybe like 3 hours in so far, but yeah, I'll be in this game for a while, I think. So. But yeah, I didn't really play anything else apart from Smash Bros. Just chipping away at the spirits. Obviously, me and I've got the competition going on just now. I think I'm up to like 120 odd, something like that. Alex don't ever told me how many he has, so I'm in the dark about that. I don't think he's done any more. But yeah, that is all I played. Have you managed to resolve the audio issue, Ali? You're muted. Can't hear you.
I resolved the audio issue. I'm actually just trying to adjust things for the PlayStation
state of play. Yeah, so that's coming up just very shortly. What are you expecting to see at this?
Gran
Like,
Turismo 7, because that's what they said we'll see.
Yeah, they said Gran Turismo 7, right? And like obviously Sony just bought Bungie. Horizon Forbidden West is coming out in about not quite a month. Like it's more than that, 3 weeks time, stuff like that. But there's this rumbling rumor going on. Rumbling away of backwards compatibility.
Yeah, that's
rumbling
been
away.
brought up from a few sources, funnily enough. Especially with the leaked thing that came out, was it 321 it said, from Japan?
Yeah, there's that weird 321 trailer. There's been trophy data found. There's been like stuff found on the PlayStation Store back end and all this.
PS3 things mysteriously popped up, and they've desperately tried to cover it up by saying, "Oh, it happens all the time." It's like, so why is it being reported now? Like,
yeah, so like there's a lot of things there, and like I think that if they don't show something, if they show something like that, I think it's mind blowing. If they show backwards compatibility for stuff, that's fucking incredible. If they don't show it, I think it's a bit of a disappointment, honestly. Regardless of what else they show at this, unless they show Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
That's later this year. They've already Square already said that, so that's not going to happen.
Well, they could still do that though, because we've seen things like that happen before, where they're like, "Oh, we'll talk about it later in the year," and then it's like, "Oh, the next day, fucking here it is in whatever event."
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
You never know. But backwards compatibility, I think, is the thing that I would love to see so much, and I think a lot of people would be the same, especially like with Microsoft are making so much ground for Game Pass and buying up these studios, Call of Duty and everything. They're getting so much positive press from all this shit. Like, they're taking Activision, which is a company that was struggling because of many issues related to different things and lawsuits and like sexual harassments and all this shit. And Microsoft basically just went in overnight, and they haven't fixed all the issues, right? Because they're still in the process of buying the company, but they will fix the issues. That's the thing.
Yeah, quite potentially.
And Sony need something, and like buying Bungie. I'm sorry, but that's not.
They didn't buy Bungie. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. What they've done is basically no, they didn't. They didn't buy the company. What they did was they bought the. No, they didn't. They didn't buy the company. They don't own Bungie. What they own is the exclusive rights to the games. But at any point, Sony can go, no thanks.
So Sony, PlayStation bought Bungie. That's the story that I read. 3.8 billion.
You didn't read into it. 3.6 billion. But they don't fully own the company. It's not that sort of deal.
Why would they pay so much money for it then?
For full exclusivity for as long as they want.
GamesIndustry.biz reports that Sony is buying Bungie for 3.6 billion.
If you read the actual story, they don't actually own like outright. What they did was they basically done what Disney did with EA, and they said you've got the license for Star Wars until we tell you otherwise.
Sony Interactive Entertainment today announced a deal to acquire Bungie for 3.6 billion. That means they bought them.
Yeah,
that's what it means.
You're reading headlines, man. Read the whole thing.
This is in the article.
Honestly,
after the deal closes, I'm reading from GamesIndustry.biz, a reputable source.
They don't own it.
After the deal closes, Bungie will be an independent subsidiary of SIE, owned by a board of directors.
Yep.
that's fine. That's exactly the same as Bethesda are doing under.
It's not, Andy.
Because Bethesda still have all their board
It's
and
not.
everything
You're
in
giving
there.
out false information there because it's not. They don't fully own the company.
They own the company.
They don't.
They do. They're buying Bungie for 3.6 billion.
They haven't. They haven't bought
Sony.
the company.
Well, they haven't bought it yet, but they will own it.
No.
They've agreed a deal to buy it for 3.6 billion. That's it.
Okay, Andy, you're wrong, but
It is. That's what it is.
No. They don't own Bungie. What they own is the license for however long they.
It's not a licensing deal. They own the company.
Okay.
They do.
Like, said okay. If that's what you want to think, but they honestly, it's a completely different deal from where I read it. If I could find it, I would give it to you. But I'm too busy doing this just now. Fraser and me were talking about it earlier in the chat, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, they had a 10-year deal previously with Activision, which was a licensing deal. But this is different. This is Sony buys Bungie. Simple.
No, they didn't buy Bungie.
They did! They bought Bungie. The exact same way as Microsoft bought Activision.
No, it's not
and
the same.
and Minecraft and all the other companies that they bought. It's the exact same thing. It is. It is.
It's not, though. It honestly isn't.
Just they'll probably cover it in this state of play tonight.
It's
So they will.
It's basically the same sort of, we've got exclusive for as long as we see fit, but Sony can cut ties at any point they choose fit. They don't have to like honour it. Not honour. They've obviously got years tied in. At the end of the day, they've got exclusiveness for their titles, and what they'll turn around and do is, if Call of Duty goes to Xbox, then Destiny leaves Xbox as well. That's what's going to happen. I know that for a fact.
Where is this being shown? This thing, state of play.
It is on YouTube. I've got the link, but I'm just trying to get it all working here. We're still live, and I'm still messing about with stuff. What was it I did it before? It was Plus, and then it was.
It's not even live today, Ali.
When is it?
What are you talking about? Tomorrow?
You're the one that asked me earlier. Are we doing State of Play tonight?
Because you told me it was today.
I did. When did I say it was today?
I don't remember. You said it was today.
It's not true. I look back at my messages.
Definitely.
I'll look back at my messages. Let's see what was said about it.
It's live. It's live in 23 hours. Anyway.
Andy.
That's funny.
Are we doing PS Live at 10? That wasn't me that said that.
Or before this.
I said, what are you up to about PS Live? And you said, I said up to you about PS Live, and you said, I think it's worth it. Okay. So that was you.
Definitely worth it.
So when is it? Tomorrow?
It says it's tomorrow, yeah.
At what time? 10 in the morning? Isn't it?
No, 10 o'clock tomorrow night.
So we'll do it tomorrow night. We're all set up for it now anyway. I might as well just leave this as it is.
But we should talk about Sony buying Bungie, right? Because we need to work this out.
There's no work.
Have Sony bought Bungie? Like, the article I'm reading here says they bought them, right? So can you send me an article which says that they did not buy them?
I'll do it off here. We'll finish up the show. I'm not spending the rest of the show just looking to try and find the article. Fraser had it on the web chat.
Right, okay, hold on. I will look for Fraser's article, right? I'll look for Fraser's article.
So here's, I think it was Forbes.
This is that you just sent me the same article that I'm reading from. Gamesindustry.biz. Sony buying Bungie for 3.6 billion.
No, this isn't the one.
This is the article which you sent in the chat.
No, I didn't send an article. Fraser did.
But this is the article.
This isn't the one that I was reading, though. I didn't read Fraser's. Because I messaged earlier in the chat and Fraser said, is that you just reading it? And I'm like, I didn't read yours, and he goes, I figured.
So Bungie's statement is right that we remain in charge of our destiny. We will continue to independently publish and creatively
Lock
develop our
itself
games.
down and go. So yeah, here you go. The plan is not for the disc, rather than pre-written. This deal is described to allow Bungie to remain an independent subsidiary and remain the multi-platform studio to self-publish and reach players wherever they choose to play. So
Yeah,
they don't.
they're still owned by Sony.
They're not. They're not bought and incorporated the way that everybody was making out. They can. There's. I'm trying to find this fucking article. Basically, there's a clause in the contract that Sony can say, right, we've had enough. Like what EA did with Star Wars. Disney came out and said, EA will have Star Wars for however long. And then this year they went, no, we've had enough. This can still happen here.
There isn't, because Sony is buying them. They paid the money, they own it. Like, it's like if I buy a house.
They haven't paid the money to buy
Well, they
them.
haven't yet, but they are. Like, if I buy a house, I can't just opt out of the house and go, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah, but it's not what they're paying for. I'm trying to
I
find.
have to sell it to someone else.
I'm trying to find what I read, but that's not what the purchase includes. That's not what it's for.
The purchases is for the whole company. Everything that's under Bungie umbrella.
Which that you're reading at the moment, yes, but the article that I was reading the other day.
It's basically Destiny. So Sony now own Destiny. What does that mean for anything though?
Nothing.
Not a lot for right now. It doesn't mean anything for me because I'm not interested in Destiny at all. Destiny 2 is a free to play game anyway, which sells add-ons, like expansion packs and stuff. There's a new one coming out quite soon. Those games will not come to PlayStation Plus or anything like that. The add-ons and stuff. And obviously the main game's free to play and it's on all platforms. They've said that they're going to continue to support it as it is, so that's fine. It's not going to make any difference to anything you're going to play for any time soon. The only difference it's going to mean is that PlayStation will make the money that Bungie were making, or that Activision, well, in fact, it wasn't Activision, that Bungie were making off of it, because Bungie went completely independent before. Because they did have that deal with Activision before, but then they went independent. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I would like to see Bungie make a new game because I have no interest in Destiny. I'd love to see them make a new first-person franchise for first-person shooter franchise for PlayStation, like a Halo killer alley, Halo killer.
They can't kill Halo because it was their best franchise. They tried to recreate it and couldn't even do that. So that's wishful thinking. They can make a better game than Killzone, absolutely, but they can't make a better game than Halo. They can't do it. And now that 343 Industries are at the standard that they're at, and they did the thing that I said. Who was it I was talking about that should go back and redo the old ones? Like Ubisoft's doing it with Splinter Cell. There's no better way to learn what the game should be like than remaking the old ones. What was it? I can't remember who I was talking about, but basically, 343 went back and remade all of the Halo games, for the Master Chief Collection. That's what they did after, was it Halo 4 was their first one? So, like Bungie did Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST and Reach, and then they left. They got out of Dodge. So, the first thing they did was make Destiny. Destiny just seemed like a knockoff Halo. And then Destiny 2 came out and it was like more of the same but worse. And instead of moving on from Destiny 2, cutting ties and going, right, here's a new game, which would interest me to go, okay, I'll try this one, they've just doubled down on that Destiny 2 as if that's a brand name. Drop the 2 at this point. If you're now iterating it that you do not need the base game, that you just buy this new expansion or new version and that's where you start the game from, then surely that's Destiny 3 at this point. You can't just go Destiny 2 all the time. So I don't believe that Destiny is as strong an IP as Halo. It's not that I don't believe. It isn't as strong an IP as Halo. I think there's still plenty of players for it. I just don't see it having lasting legs if they don't start working on Destiny 3. I don't care about the move. Obviously I own all consoles anyway, but I can't see them. I can't see them doing anything that is going to make a dent in Xbox at this point. And the thing is, what's his name came out from the video game awards? I don't even know his name just now. Jeff Keighley, and he said that this is just the start of announcements this year. And if this is just the start, I don't think what it is going to be is that we're going to get Xbox announcing too many more. What we're going to get is Sony announcing more, and I would stake money on Sony picking up Square or Konami at this point, and I would lean heavily towards Square because of their relationship.
I did see something earlier about there are a lot of other video game deals in the works at the moment.
That was Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, so I
he
think
knows.
that this could definitely happen. Like stuff like that, like Sony potentially buying Square Enix, because Final Fantasy VII Remake has not come to Xbox, even though they didn't say it was like
Full exclusive, no.
not coming.
And
Nobody's ever said it's not coming. So
Sony's history with Square as a whole since the PlayStation 1 has been mostly exclusive anyway, so it would make sense if Square were in the position Sony had the readies.
yeah,
Square's a bit bigger than Bungie though. I think that would be in the double figure billion.
yeah. Do you think that like this represents good value for money? Sony buying Bungie for that amount of money,
No.
3.6 billion.
For one game.
No, I
It's
don't
one,
think so either.
This is
No.
this is one game. They don't have other titles.
Not at the moment. Well, they might have other stuff they're working on, like we've not seen yet.
I guarantee
to be fair,
they don't. They went independent to finish Destiny 2. That's what happened.
well, they supposedly do have some new stuff in the works, right? But like
So
we don't.
that's speculation.
We've no idea what that is.
What they've got is Destiny.
Totally. Yeah, a marketable asset that they have right now is Destiny. That's it. And Destiny's on all platforms. It's a strange buy. Like I get that it makes money, and like Sony's like, oh, we'll just take that money. All right, fine. But like, it doesn't really enrich the lives of a PlayStation gamer, does it? Whereas like Xbox buying Call of Duty, the Call of Duty games go on Game Pass, or buying Activision, Call of Duty games go on Game Pass. Overwatch goes on Game Pass. Like you can see directly exactly how that's going to affect you from the announcement, because you know all first party Microsoft Studios games go to Game Pass. Either day one, or if they've already been released, they will come at some point.
Yeah.
So you're going to get more value for your money from like your Game Pass subscription. Cool. Like they just by saying one thing, Microsoft buys Activision. You go, oh, cool. That means I'm getting all of these fucking games. Brilliant. Love it. Excellent. Sony buys Bungie. Okay.
A company that's
They
got
make-
one game.
They make Destiny 2. Okay, I've played Destiny 2. I don't like it. How does that enrich me as a PlayStation gamer?
It
doesn't. It doesn't. It does nothing. Unless in the future. In the future, fair enough, they could do some things. Like, I want them to make a new IP.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, then every day would be Christmas though, Andy, wouldn't it?
Oh, I would love it. Every day being Christmas would be fantastic. But if they can make a new first-person shooter exclusive game franchise for Sony with a multiplayer component, brilliant. Because Sony needs that. They don't have it right now. Microsoft has bought every fucking shooter studio, like all of them.
I would argue, once Destiny 2 is ticking, Sony could ask them to revitalise Resistance and Killzone and make good games finally in the series. Just reboot both of them. Killzone's not a bad looking franchise. Like I like the whole Hellgas style like armour, like almost space Nazis, and Resistance was kind of a cool idea with big aliens and end of the world stuff. So Bungie could absolutely take those two franchises and make them very playable and very good. There's no question in that. But I just don't. It's not enough. Like Xbox has just bought World of Warcraft, Diablo, fucking Call of Duty, like Tony Hawk's. Like all these games are now Xboxes, and that's not counting the games that they bought earlier on in the year and all the other studios they've acquired. And Xbox have the money to keep going. Like if Sony don't want to play this game with Xbox because Xbox pockets go way deeper than Sony's as a company. Microsoft go way deeper than Sony's. And Sony won't authorise PlayStation to buy as highly as Microsoft have kind of given Phil Spencer the reins now. So the one comment I made on Twitter that I want to talk about, I said, and I want to know your thoughts on it because I seen you liked it, that I've been shouting for Microsoft to buy Sega, and we've talked about how close the Dreamcast is to the Xbox, the original, and shared licenses, Sega and their relationship, all the Yakuza's coming, Yakuza 7 being exclusive to Xbox and stuff. I said, and I still stand by it, and I'll tell you why if you don't agree, but you might say the same reasons. I think the best person, not that they will buy them, to buying Sega isn't Xbox, even though it's more likely. It's Nintendo. What do you think on that?
I mean, I think it makes complete sense, right? Because Nintendo have similar characters and ethos, I think, to Sega, like in terms of how they are run. Because they're both Japanese companies. I'm sure that there's a lot of history there between them as well.
Oh, there's obviously, you don't need to say you're sure. We were there.
Yeah.
We lived the console wars,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
proper
totally.
console wars.
No, but I mean, between the actual people that are
Oh, yeah.
running the companies, there'll be history between them. They'll know each other. Like if they don't know each other personally, they'll know that each other's reputations and whatnot. But I mean, there's scope for Nintendo and Sega to work together. They've done it plenty of times. There's been plenty of Sonic games on Nintendo platforms now, as well as like you had the Mario and Sonic games. Now, if you can make Sonic an exclusive Nintendo character, that's kind of cool. Because I think Nintendo could do some cool shit with Sonic. Like, Nintendo are the kings of 2D platformers. They're also the kings of 3D platformers. They could make a fucking workable 3D platformer Sonic game. Maybe Sonic Frontiers will be it. We don't know. But all other ones before that, no.
The way that I see it is that Nintendo are the only people that are reliably handling mascots as close as Disney handle their own.
Yes.
Like, I don't see another company handling mascots as well. I just don't. So...
No, you're right.
I think the only people to do them justice, to do Sonic justice... I'm not saying... That's unfair. The people that are most likely to be able to continually give Sonic justice without letting it falter is Nintendo. Because they would treat Sonic in as high regard as Mario. If they got a hold of Sonic, they would treat him in as high regard as Mario. Because that would then become their IP, and they're like... Cool.
Yep.
And it would be a silent victory for Nintendo because the 90s console wars at the same time, obviously. But
this is the only thing, though. I don't think it would ever happen because of that. I'm sure that there's still some people at Sega that are like,
no,
we will never let Nintendo buy us.
100%.
Because of the Nintendo console war back in the day, the Sega Nintendo rivalry.
The real one before consoles became glorified PCs.
Yeah. I think until such time as those people are all... I mean, it might have already happened, right? Like, I don't know who's up there in charge of the company that was still there from back in the day, but I would imagine it's still some of the same people. Until such time as those people have left the business, then that would never happen. Because they will be stubborn about that, for sure. They will have the bad memories of the console war from back in the day, of Sega v Nintendo. And it was better. Like... Sega had whole marketing campaigns about Nintendo, like Sega does what Nintendo don't, and like all that sort of shit. Like that stuff, like people remember that. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
The other reason, though, they're more likely than Xbox is because there's a foreign competition law in Japan where no foreign company can buy a company that's Japanese owned for X, Y, and Z reasons. And people have commented saying that, well, Microsoft can get around that because they've got offices in like Japan and stuff, so they're technically Japanese. But that's why that people brought Nintendo into the conversation. But here's the reason Nintendo won't. It's nothing to do with that. Nintendo don't need to.
No, you're totally right.
Everyone's like, who's Nintendo going to buy online? I'm like, no one. They have Sonic. They have Mario. No, Sonic. They've got Mario. They've got Zelda. They've got Pokemon. Pokemon alone is all they need to survive as a company.
Yep.
Are you crazy? Like, they've got Game Freak, so they don't need to do any of these things. I don't know who this is, but hi. The way they treat, like I said earlier, they treat their franchises like Disney treat Mickey Mouse, like Warner Brothers used to treat Bugs Bunny. There's no way that they need to get involved in this buying. There was a story recently, remember, that Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo and they just laughed at them and said no. They offered them more than Nintendo was worth and they just laughed and said no, we're not selling. They're obviously making enough money. They've not got greedy outsider shareholders. They're kind of still owned by the same kind of people, and like you said, the people that were there back in the day, Nintendo, are still there. Really old, still there. But the people that are moving into their jobs, it's not like it's fresh faces from outside. These have been carefully cultivated people from the inside over years that have been mentored by the people above them. Like, so you're never going to get that at Nintendo, I don't think. It's almost like a family dynasty. They're never going to sell the company. They don't need to. They're like, we're making enough money to be profitable. We're not one of those uber rich mega companies like Microsoft or like Sony used to be. They're not now, where we need to please people and keep adding zeros to fucking shares. Like, it's not like that, Nintendo. Sure, they've got shareholders and they will have demands, but it's nothing like what that is. They're making everybody happy. They're still selling shitloads of games. People laugh at it, but look at Switch sales over the last 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
And Switch is a 5-year console. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost going to be one of, in fact, it is already one of the top 5 best-selling consoles of all time. Of all time. And it's only 5 years old. And these are lifetime-to-date sales for the rest of them. I would be interested to see at the end of the year if it's actually overtaken the DS and the likes of them. But yeah, I don't think Nintendo's going to do anything. What I think is we're definitely going to see Amazon and Google stepping into the ring. I think Amazon Luna, they'll do something ridiculous as a last dash cash grab, because I'd say the only company as rich as Microsoft, if not richer, is Amazon, and they're trying to get into this gaming sphere, and they've bought a few small companies, but I reckon ever since they've seen Microsoft going out and buy the whole of Activision Blizzard, I think they're going to make a move and everyone's going to be like, they did what? And they're going to waste it because they don't have a proper platform to use them on.
I think this is probably why Microsoft's gone out and bought these things, because they are scared
Worried about Amazon are going to do it.
That Amazon would come in and buy it. So Microsoft are like, well, not even waste it. Just like if Amazon comes in, takes Call of Duty and all those games away from Microsoft platforms, that's bad business for Xbox and for Microsoft. So they're like, do you know what? We'll just buy it and we can do it whatever we want to. Because,
so do you agree with what I said there, that Amazon are crazy and rich enough and trying to get into gaming enough that they might make a move this year and go, okay, we're buying these guys, and everyone's like, they've done what?
Right, okay, maybe, but who would they buy?
Ubisoft.
Buy Ubisoft? I mean,
EA. They've got the money.
EA, maybe. Like, would you care though if they bought either of those companies?
Well, yeah, still play NHL, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, all these sort of games. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are still Ubisoft. There are still games there that I'm interested in playing. Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of these games are kind of
Square though.
Square's the interesting one. Like, I think Sony should buy them before Amazon tries to buy them.
Do you know the one that I'm surprised hasn't been sold by now, that don't give a fuck about their IPs or their franchises or their employees? Konami. Like, Konami's main guy was Kojima, and they just let him go because they fell out with him. And then, what about his properties? They're like, we'll make one game and then we'll just leave it. But what about Silent Hill? No, just leave that as well. What about all the rest? Nope. We don't care. Why hasn't somebody bought them?
Even PES, they killed PES and made eFootball instead. And
which was a smart move, because they didn't kill off PES as a name.
Oh, yeah. But I think Konami is surviving on pachinko machines, and that's it.
Yeah, but they don't need to. They can do what Sega's done. I think Sega are trying to position themselves in for potential buyers, though. Remember last year, they split the arcade and they split the video game division? Well, it turns out that they've just shut the last arcade. This doesn't mean... People were going, no, Sega's going out of business. No. Sega still have the video game division, and they'll still make arcade machines. What's been shut is the last official Sega arcade. That's what's been shut. They'll still make video games for the arcade. They'll still make software. But I think they are lowering their assets to make them a more interesting proposition to be bought. Because remember before, the whole thing was they'll never sell because of the pachinko machines and such like that, Sega. Well, now the video game side's completely separate, so they could sell that to make money to increase the pachinko business. Like, why wouldn't they? But I think Microsoft, if Microsoft also said they're buying a big Japanese studio this year. They haven't announced it yet. So in my mind, that has to be Capcom, it has to be Sega, or it has to be Konami. But on the other side, you've got PlayStation that have just dipped their feet in the ring slightly. It's not quite as big. But PlayStation, I think they're closer linked to Square and Konami than Microsoft, just through like Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy. But I mean, there's definitely more purchases coming. Jeff saying that today has practically confirmed it, right? That's confirmed that it's happening. It's not a rumor if he's commenting on it. Plus, the Activision Blizzard deal, like I think I commented this when we talked about it, it got put together over the holiday period very quickly, remember? Phil wanted to move on it quick. Well, he said that next year they're going to announce the acquisition of a Japanese studio, a major Japanese publisher.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't. So they're obviously waiting for the Activision Blizzard to die down before they announce who they've bought. So I reckon we're going to get another announcement, if not before June, by June, because that's E3 season.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
I think it's gonna be Sega. I think you're right. It makes sense.
Sony will buy Square or Konami in response. They will.
I think they need to, just to make sure that Microsoft doesn't
buy
buy them. Yeah.
Well, here's the
Square
thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, apparently, due to competition law, like
both. Buy both of them.
No, but according to competition law, like Bungie would have been offered to Microsoft, from what I was reading. Like, and same for Activision Blizzard, they would have fielded for other offers. So because of the competition law, before that it get put forward the proposal, Sony would have had to have been offered Activision Blizzard, and they couldn't afford that. I know Sony's a company, they couldn't afford it.
No.
So the same would have happened. Like, see if somebody made a move for Sega, the other company will be offered it as well.
Like, imagine the Sony one though. Like, oh, we're going to buy Bungie for 3.6 billion.
Microsoft went no.
Microsoft get that fax through, and they just take it and they just laugh at it, and then they smoke the fax. They're like, we own this company. Like, we got Halo out of them. Like, it's Destiny. It's on the platform. It's free. It's all right.
That's the truth, like, isn't it? Like, they started.
We don't want to spend 3.6 billion on this. Fuck off.
Microsoft granted them the release. They went straight to Activision, and then they left.
Yep. After signing a 10-year deal with Activision to publish their games, they sort of bought themselves out of it, so they could do it themselves. They obviously didn't like working under Activision,
and now they've run out of money, and they're needing more money. So
yeah,
it's crazy. But yeah. Anyway, I definitely think by June we're going to see another move. I think it's back to Xbox now. I don't think Sony's going to announce another one. I think we're definitely going to hear Xbox, and I'm leaning more towards Square, and I would lean more towards Sega. Like, Sega and Square are the two that I could see. But are Square don't seem like kind of a Nintendo. Like, are they up for sale? Like, but then again, somebody put, doesn't matter if they're advertising they're for sale. If a meeting goes well and you add enough zeros, everything has a price.
So I looked into this state of play a little bit more. You love this, Ali. So the state of play is February 2nd, so we got the date wrong because we thought it was tonight, and we just thought I didn't even read the official PlayStation announcement about it. I just saw someone say there's a state of play, and I'm like, cool, state of play. This is going to talk about the Bungie thing, talk about Horizon. No, none of that, because I've just looked into it on the PlayStation blog. Do you know what this state of play is about? Gran Turismo 7. That's it. 30 minutes of Gran Turismo 7.
Oh, so you won't want to cover that?
Absolutely not. 30 minutes of engine noises. It's funny to cover Gran Turismo, to be fair, but not for 30 minutes. Oh my god, I think I would kill myself. Like, wow. That was do you remember we did one of the PlayStation experience show things before?
Kind of.
And there was a Gran Turismo segment, and it just went on for forever, and it followed a guy going round and recording sounds at tracks for ages.
Yeah, that was awful.
Ages.
And I like
it was
Gran
terrible.
Turismo.
Yeah, and like Gran Turismo was quite fun, but like, no.
And it was, and we were laughing at it because it's like, this guy's just spent time standing behind cars with a microphone for the past 3 years, and he literally had. That's what had happened.
But yeah, so Sony's announcement, this is all it says, is the first 2022 State of Play arrives later this week, and we're all revved up for just over 30 minutes of new PS5 footage and gameplay details for Gran Turismo 7. Watch live February 2nd, 2 p.m. See you Wednesday. That's going to have nothing else about anything else in it.
You think?
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. It's an in-depth look at the modes and features of GT7.
I've got rid of all the work that I just did there trying to put together the overlays and stuff.
That's actually quite disappointing, because you would want Sony to do something cool after like buying Bungie and like after the Microsoft shit from like, a couple of weeks ago. You'd want Sony. You would think would want to like fight back a little bit, because they're on the ropes a little bit. Not in terms of sales and stuff, but in terms of perception in the industry right now. Microsoft are like massively on this end.
They're not in the ropes.
Yeah.
They're not in the ropes. What they are is they're at Microsoft's beck and call, because if Microsoft go, nah, we changed our mind, you're not getting exclusives, Sony have to play nice with Microsoft. That's why Phil came out all smiley saying talks went well. It's like, of course they did. You've got all the cards. So you walked in and went, do you want Call of Duty? Let's talk about that Game Pass on PlayStation again. That's what happened. I know what happened. He didn't even talk about Call of Duty. He bought Activision to talk about Game Pass with PlayStation. That's what happened. Because that's his end game. That's what he wants. And his final goal will be getting PlayStation, Xbox Game Pass on PlayStation. He will walk off into the sunset with a big bag of gold and just be like, he will.
Do you think, my job is done. Do you think it will actually happen? Do you think Sony would put Game Pass on PlayStation?
It's inevitable, because see, after 2 years, Call of Duty's not going on PlayStation anymore. Call of Duty isn't just like Horizon Zero Dawn, like, which isn't a system seller, but you know what I mean. I didn't mean to say that because it's an exclusive. It's just it isn't like let's think. It's not like an Assassin's Creed. Like, yeah, we'll lose Assassin's Creed. It's not like even Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, we'll lose Metal Gear. Call of Duty is the game. Like, whether we like it or not, it's the game. Like, it's not one you can lose. Like, I would argue the only game people would want to buy if it was for sale after Call of Duty would be Pokemon. That would be it.
Maybe.
Figures what, Andy, not whether you like it or not. Like, you always.
Well, it's probably more. Yeah, I mean, it's probably more like FIFA or something like that.
Well, you know what I mean, like a big game like that. So they took the biggest. I would argue Call of Duty is the biggest game. They took the biggest played off the board, and they went.
It's Call of Duty and then GTA, or maybe
correct.
One of like.
I don't think GTA will be for sale. Yeah. I don't think it will be for sale ever
no.
really. But
no.
The fact that they've removed the biggest seller, the biggest game, it's like, what? What are we going to do? Well, do you want it on your platform? Yes, please. Okay, you can have it for the 2 years because it's already in development. It'd be a waste of time scrapping all the PlayStation work. Oh, thank you. What about after that? We'll see. So Sony scrambled and they didn't buy Bungie overnight. But
no, absolutely not.
What would have happened is they would have been told that Microsoft were good. They did do this in response, and here's why. It didn't just happen overnight. It only just got announced. So the Activision deal would have started in the winter last year, say October, November, right? Round about then. Yeah. So at that point, Sony would have been contacted and told, look, Microsoft have put in a bid for us. Do you have a matching offer or higher? And at that point, they went, shit, they're buying COD. We can't afford this money. What do we do? And see, since winter last year, Sony's been like, we need shooters. They've took Call of Duty, Killzone, and somebody get thrown out a window. Somebody said Resistance, somebody else get thrown out a window. They went, no, let's think sensibly. Who can we get? Who have we had a relationship with? Phone fucking Bungie. They've just been stupid. They've just left Activision. They've no money. Nobody's playing Destiny now. Let's get them on board. That's paraphrasing, but that's what happened. They heard about the Activision deal. They couldn't match or come even close to that offer. And they thought, who can we do? And they've contacted Bungie. This has been done in response, but it hasn't just happened. Both deals were done
months ago. Yeah,
both were done months ago. Yeah, absolutely. But that's how this happened. So they've went, we need to think what we can do. And now they're sitting going, oh, look, Bungie's with us. It's like, yeah, but the best franchise is still with Xbox. So Xbox, Phil Spencer's sitting going, and then they bought Bungie. That's what he's doing right now. Honestly.
Yeah, totally. He won't care, especially because like they're still going to publish Destiny 2 on Xbox.
They've said that they've not. Bungie explicitly stated that they're independent, that they're not going to be making PlayStation exclusives. So what was the point in the deal?
I mean, it's money. Like, Sony will make the money off of it. Fine. Like, if you look at MLB, did it right, for example. MLB is a Sony-made game. It's made by Sony.
Yeah, somebody said, look at Sony going out and buying Bungie because they're so that they didn't have to admit they're a third-party Nintendo game now.
But no, Sony owns the studio that makes MLB, and they were forced by the MLB to put it on Xbox as well because they wouldn't sign the agreement unless they would make it multi-platform.
But they would have given it to another publisher, yeah.
They said we're going to take this license off of you unless you put it on multiple platforms. So Sony went, all right, okay, well we'll put it on multiple platforms, and they put it on Xbox as well as PlayStation. And Xbox got the deal to fucking put it on Game Pass day one, bizarrely.
And then Switch has got it this year for the first time as well. And I think it was Jeff Grubb said, be prepared for MLB to be the highest selling sports sim of all time because it's now on Switch.
Yeah, and like it's like it's not my type of game, right?
I'm sorry,
like,
but what excuse
people-
do EA have now that
Oh, I know.
NBA, which is arguably up there, well, it's up there with MLB. NBA and MLB are known as the two most in-depth, fully featured sports games of all time, and they've already, because I read into it, MLB 2022 is going to be the full game on Switch. NBA is the full game on Switch. So why the fuck is FIFA Legacy Edition every day? And they said it was because of the tech. It's not. It's because of sheer fucking laziness from EA.
or their developers are just not talented enough, like to
No,
make a
it's
Switch
sheer
game.
fucking laziness.
Oh,
I'll be
they're
back.
probably putting interns. They're probably putting interns on doing that. Those ports, but anyway. But yeah, like the MLB going to Xbox deal actually made Sony a lot of money, so they're probably a bit more open to doing this sort of multi-platform type stuff. I don't think they would ever do it with their first-party games that sell the PlayStation consoles, like your Spider-Man's, Uncharted, all that, Ratchet and Clank, all that sort of stuff. That stuff's going to stay locked to PlayStation, and then it will come to PC later when it's not selling anymore, which is fine. Because I mean, if you can sell a game for 40 quid that came out 3-4 years ago that
You know
now
what, though, the
people
game
can pick up
the-
secondhand for a
the game-
fiver, like
the
fair
game
enough.
the Game Pass deal though. The Game Pass deal was to stick it to Sony because it wasn't box sales.
Oh,
They
100%, yeah.
Sony would have got less money from that. They would have been like, you've agreed to do what? And they went, oh, Game Pass to introduce it to a new audience. And they went, but that means that we don't get a cut of it because it's a Microsoft subscription. They went, yeah, we'll still sell it box.
Oh.
And they went, well, no one's fucking buying it boxed, are they?
Game Pass now. But the thing is, like, Sony would have still made good money off of that because
not as
they
good
would've-
as they could have. Is what I'm meaning. I'm saying they made money.
Yes or not?
No,
But-
100% not, because they don't get as big a cut as they would have if they were selling it direct to the consumer on disc. It went through Microsoft's Game Pass, so that means you get a cut. It's a bit like Spotify versus selling
no.
CDs on the shelves. It is.
That's not how
is.
it works for those. No, not for those type of deals. Basically, what Microsoft does is Microsoft goes to whatever studio and they say, we want to put your game on Game Pass day one. We will give you $1 million to do it, or however much, probably more than that for MLB. Say $10 million, and they go, oh, $10 million, cool, yeah, done, sold. And then they get $10 million, and that's it. They don't get any residuals or anything like that. It's just $10 million. And obviously, MLB is not on Game Pass anymore, as far as I remember. It was on it for a certain amount of time, and then it went off. And the cool thing with that for Sony, and why they've agreed to it, is that people that were invested in it and played it, they would then probably buy the game at the Game Pass discount, and they would also probably buy the DLC stuff. So it definitely made Sony more money than just putting it on PlayStation. Because the PlayStation people, they still bought it anyway, and the Xbox people that were never going to buy it, some of them were able to buy it and spend money in it, and Sony got like a big chunk of money from it too. So it makes sense. Destiny's the weird one though, because it's a free-to-play game, and Sony are just looking to pull the money from it. Like, all right, cool, from the cosmetics and the, I don't know if there's loot boxes in that game anymore. I can't remember. Right, but there's obviously cosmetic stuff, and then there's your DLC packs. The people seem to like the DLCs. I have no interest in it at all, but fair enough. If Bungie makes a new game though, I'll be more interested because the shooting mechanics and stuff are good. But yeah, there's no state of play tonight. It's tomorrow, and it's all about Gran Turismo, so that's not actually I need to cover it.
Gran Turismo is out soon though, so I'm looking forward to it. My question is, the problem is, see, when I buy these games like Gran Turismo, Forza, I get into them and it distracts me from my single player games, and then that's when I end up dropping single player games. So like, I'm in the middle of playing all these games. If I drop money in Gran Turismo next month, it's like every time I'm not in the mood slightly to play one of these games, Gran Turismo will just be on for hours, and then they're not really games that you can complete.
Yeah,
they're just, so it's a bit like the NBA. It's a time sink rather than anything. So I don't know whether I just hold off, and I've got a funny feeling that we're going to see a bit Forza 8 this year as well, Forza Motorsport 8, which at this point I don't know what Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo's always fun. I love the licenses. I love the way it works and that you have to work your way up.
Yeah.
But again, it's a time sink, because then I was playing Gran Turismo Sport last year, if you remember. I spent so long and just going, you've got a silver medal, and yeah, that's good enough to go forward, but it's not a gold medal. And you can see your ghost and you can see where you've went wrong, so it's like, it becomes addictive. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm now in the mindset where I've got such a backlog from years ago that I need to dig into it. I need to start finishing games. And
You need to beat 24 games this year, Ali.
I'm 3 in, Andy. I'm 3 in, and I'm halfway through.
4 in.
I'm but I've got 2 in the pipeline that I'm nearly finished as well, because I'm halfway through Horizon and I'm halfway through Uncharted Lost Legacy as well. So, and I'm fully.
Says the man who I quote said, "I'm going to delete this game right now." About Horizon last night.
Quote me correctly. I said I'm out. Didn't say I was going to delete it. So yeah, I need to finish those games first. I can't not finish them. I can't go and get Gran Turismo, even though I'm excited for it. And then I know, Xbox just need to wait a month and then go, oh, that's cool and all, but Forza 8's out in November, which I think it could be. I think they're holding back E3 or Xbox show, because games generally get shown off in the summer for the winter, because you hear about the first half at the Game Awards, and then just before the summer, be E3 or their own announcement, you always hear what's going to happen for Christmas. Because you still don't know the Christmas games. You've got a rough idea Breath of the Wild 2 is coming, but I think a lot of people are silent because of Breath of the Wild 2, and they wait and see the trailer, and if the trailer looks shit, they'll go, okay, we can release. Nintendo aren't going to do that. I'll tell you now, if you're worried at Breath of the Wild 2, then hold till next year, because Breath of the Wild 2 is not getting released if it's not ready. 100%. They wouldn't do it.
So after I want to talk about this, and then we'll call it. I think Microsoft announced their slate of Game Pass games for February as well.
They're awful. Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. They're awful.
They're not awful.
They are
There's
awful.
just nothing. No, there's just nothing big.
Crossfire,
big.
Arcs came back. That's the 2 biggest ones.
Yeah, there's nothing big. I've played. There's one game on the list that I played which was good, but Telling Lies. But that's a PC game. If you're going to play that on the PC version. I wouldn't play that on console. No way. It's not going to be fun to play on console. But there's nothing big there. But you look at what Sony's got coming. Sony has Horizon. And
that's
Gran Turismo's obviously
again,
soon as well.
Horizon's a one and done, if you know what I mean. It's not like a game. That's what Sony's missing. They've always said that. It's not like when you finish Gears 5, if you like it, you go and play the multiplayer, you go and do this, you go and do that.
Fine.
You play Halo.
I want to play Horizon multiplayer or Uncharted multiplayer or Last of Us multiplayer.
But what I'm meaning is, Horizon's not a threat to Xbox in any way, shape or form, and that's not just because I didn't like it. It doesn't make a difference to Xbox. What does make a difference is them holding the licenses to the likes of Spider-Man and things like that, in my opinion. Last of Us, that's probably the big seller. Uncharted as well, obviously, but it's going to be a while before we see another Uncharted. But Last of Us TV show, Last of Us remake this year, or remastered, whatever it's going to be, they're going to be big sellers. They're going to be a problem for Microsoft's slate. But see, Horizon, it's not an issue. It really isn't an issue, and I'm not just saying that because I didn't like it. It's a moo point. It's moo.
Horizon is a big seller for PlayStation. It's a big franchise.
I never said it wasn't. It's not a big franchise. It's gaining traction.
It's a big franchise.
Compared to what?
Compared to Microsoft's third-person action games,
No. Compare it to an actual game, because they don't exist.
No, Microsoft. Exactly.
No,
I was trying to think of something. I'm like,
no. I said it's a big franchise compared to what? You don't have to compare it to
I'm trying to compare it to a Microsoft exclusive.
No. I was meaning
there is none right now.
Compare it to something in PlayStation. What's it bigger than in PlayStation? Astrobot.
Oh, it's probably bigger than Astrobot. Yeah.
Well, obviously, because Astrobot's a demo, but that's the level I put Horizon at. It's a fledgling franchise. This game could completely flop.
No,
it's a fledgling. It's had one game, Andy. It's had one game.
Yeah. And in this one game, it's bigger than Killzone, it's bigger than Resistance.
That's
it's
not
bigger
hard.
Than these
it's not hard because those are dead franchises, though, so you can't compare it to dead franchises.
Yeah.
You can't compare it to dead franchises. What I mean is, it's not their biggest. It's at the bottom of the franchise. It's not even as big as Gran Turismo at this point. Gran Turismo is the biggest selling car game of all time still. I'd argue that Gran Turismo is PlayStation's biggest selling franchise. Horizon's not as big as God of War, is it? No. It's not as big as Spider-Man, is it? No. It's not as big as Uncharted, is it? No. It's not as big as Last of Us, is it? No. So where does it fall in the ranking? At the bottom. That's what I was saying.
I'll find out.
Find out.
I'll find out.
I'd guarantee it's Gran Turismo.
Oh no, that's for. I don't know if I will be able to find this out.
Because I'm right. You can guaranteed look up Sony's biggest gaming franchises. Absolutely, Uncharted's got to be there. Last of Us, like I said, Gran Turismo, because it's been going for years and it was huge in Japan. I don't think Horizon's even touched the top 5. I'd guarantee it hasn't touched the top 5. Look at Andy trying to find an article that suits his needs.
I'm trying to find the figures on Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Watch this. I'll find it quicker. Because I'll type it in. PlayStation's biggest franchises. Search. Did you mean PlayStation? Sure, whatever. Okay. Here we are. 2021 Game Rant, that'll do. Let's have a look. That didn't take long, Andy, did it? Right. Let's have a look. What did I say? It's not even in the top 5. Okay.
No, it's not the top. Not yet.
No.
Yet.
Let's see how much it has to sell before it's in the top.
How many has it sold?
Right.
That's what I need to know.
So here we go. Let's read this out, Andy. So this obviously includes games that are no longer exclusive, but were once exclusive. You with me, Andy? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're starting with number 12. What do you think's at number 12 with 20 million copies sold?
Probably like Ratchet and Clank or something.
No, Spyro.
Spyro. Yeah, Spyro.
Number 11, also at 20 million. What do you think it is, Andy?
I don't know.
SingStar.
7.6 million. 7.6
Okay, so
million.
it's nowhere near the top 12.
No. 10
It's
million.
still nowhere near the top 12. Right, okay.
10 million.
So here's how insignificant it is in PlayStation franchises. SingStar, Andy, 20 million at number 11. It's not even sold as much as SingStar. Number 10.
SingStar's a fucking free game.
Exactly. Exactly, but it never used to be, right? So it's still not sold as much as SingStar in the fucking PS3, right? So here we go. Last of Us, 24 million. And that's number 10. Number 9.
Two games, though.
Number 9,
Two
Tomb
games.
Raider, 26 million. Number 8, Spider-Man, 26.5 million. 1.5 games. Number 7, Ratchet and Clank at 27 million. Number 6, Uncharted, 44.2 million. Number 5 is Tekken with 50 million. This is obviously before it went multi-format. Number 4, Crash Bandicoot, sold 50 million, Andy.
Xbox exclusive, doesn't count.
This is counting in when it was PlayStation exclusive. Number 3, God of War, 51 million. Number 2, Final Fantasy from 7, I think, was the first one. 52 million. And number 1, Andy, guess what number 1 is? Guess who was right, as always. Me.
It's Gran Turismo.
How much do you think it sold, though, considering number 2 is 52?
It sold 80 million.
80 fucking million, man. So, I was right. Not only did it not even touch the top 5, it's not even halfway towards top 12, Andy. So your statements are absolutely ridiculous. No one cares about Horizon. It's a brown piece of shit.
As of February 2019, it sold 10 million copies. So it's sold more than that now.
It's not sold that much more.
In 2 years, when it came out on PC as well, it definitely will have sold more. I just can't find any figures for how much it actually sold. Oh, so the PC version.
How many units did you say it sold? Let me hear. How many units?
It was 10 million.
Right, and it came out the same day as what? What came out the same day? Breath of the Wild. So Breath of the Wild has sold 24.13 million units.
How many? Here's the real test for it, right? How many copies? Mass Effect Andromeda, because it came out basically the same time as that.
I bet it's beat it.
I bet you Horizon has beaten that.
I bet you it hasn't.
I bet you it has. 100%.
It's bad news because it's not even. It's only projected figures. Sold 1 million in its first week.
Yeah, because people didn't realise that it was different.
I can't
2.5 million in its opening quarter.
Oh no, it should be 5 million. Why is this not getting? It must not have sold what it wanted to.
Oh, definitely not. No, definitely not.
It's not telling me how much Andromeda sold, which means
no.
So that can't count. But what
probably 5
is,
million.
Right. So
I
anyway,
think that's a safe approximation.
I'm not slagging off Horizon. Just play it. It does it itself. What I'm saying is, and I stand backed up by figures, that it is a fledgling franchise. It's not a big hitter for Sony. And what I was meaning is
wait. New game? Oh, it's going to blow up.
Maybe, Andy. maybe, and I hope this one's a good game. So like, it's not a dent on what Microsoft. That's not a concern. They're not going shit. They're releasing that. And see, to be honest now as well, even though Gran Turismo is the big seller, I don't think it's Forza's took it. I love Gran Turismo, and it's sad to say, but it's been away too long, and there's too big a gap between releases that, sure, Japan will be big, but see over here, everyone's like, yeah, but look, we get Forza Horizon, which is even prettier and actually fun to play. Racing games have moved on since Gran Turismo, and I've got a funny feeling this is going to be very stuck in the past. I think this is going to review at 70%. I think it's going to be very good, the most accurate, most beautiful looking, blah blah blah, all this, but it's stuck in the past, 100%. So the biggest threats again that Sony have just now is literally Spider-Man, God of War. I keep forgetting that. Last of Us and Uncharted. Because I wouldn't even throw Ratchet and Clank in there. They don't give a shit. They've got Spyro and Crash now if they really needed to get on that bandwagon. But I think the Day of the Mascot's kind of dead unless you're Nintendo or Sega. But for the two big companies, the mascots are gone, which is a shame because
I don't think so. I think Ratchet has sold well enough for them to.
No, they'll do another
Ratchet. Success.
They'll do
another one.
They will, but it'll be 2-3 years down.
I think Microsoft
will
will
Crash.
100% make
Crash 5
yeah.
and Spyro 4. That's what they need.
Yeah.
And I know there was other Spyros, but there wasn't a Spyro 4. It wasn't called that. But no, I mean, Sony do have a problem still. They still have big gaps. Do you know what they shouldn't have done? Cancelled Days Gone 2. Like, they should have let that go ahead, because Days Gone was like, oh my god, I can't wait till this is improved in the next one. And you could see what they were trying to do with it, and it's like, this will be so good when they do this. And even the developer was like, yeah, this is what I was going to do. And if you read what he was going to do, it's like, well, that sounds fucking cool. Where is it? Oh, they canned it, and then they tried to make us do Uncharted, and we went, nah. So they're not going to let us do Days Gone. Why? That was a cool idea, and imagine that with PS5 tech behind it. That's baffling. Go and make another new one, but why? Like, I don't understand that. But then again, Sony also, the same time they spent 3.6 billion, instead of investing in their first original studio, Sony Studios Japan, they shut it down the other week. It's like, if you've got 3.6 billion you can throw towards Bungie that have got one game, why are you shutting down your oldest studio? Like,
I know.
Wow. Absolute madness from them. But anyway, I don't know what Sony's going to do. I think they have to buy Square. I think they don't have another move. If they don't buy Square, they're in big trouble. I think they should. I think
what Square.
Well, what I think they need to be healthy, Square and Konami. If they can own Metal Gear and Final Fantasy, then Sony's PlayStation's sorted. If they can't get that or the majority of it, then when Microsoft reveal which Japanese studio it is they're in talks with, I think it could be like they don't have a choice at that point. If they don't buy Square, basically, if they don't buy Square, they don't have a choice. They're going to have to take Game Pass, because that was the original question. If you remember all this stuff, I think that's if they don't buy Square, then they need Game Pass. End of story. That's my view on the whole thing. Because you look at it as a big picture. What the fuck are they going to do if Microsoft turn around and go, yeah, we bought Sega, and Sony are like, okay, so that's Sonic, that's Persona, because it's all the Atlas games as well. Fuck. What we're going to do? Yep, we need Game Pass. So at the end of the day, Sony need to be in talks with Square or Konami, if not both. They should be in talks with both.
Yeah.
And like I said, see if Sony buys Square, it'll keep them afloat for a while. If they buy Konami as well, then they're sorted, because I know Sony will treat Metal Gear with love. I think Metal Gear should land with Sony, and nothing against Microsoft. And I personally think Final Fantasy should land with Sony as well. So those two relationships make most sense to me. Sega going to Microsoft make most sense to me, and then just fucking leave it. Both of them need to calm the fuck down.
Don't just buy anything else. Yeah, just let everything else come out on
leave
board.
It at that. Leave it at that. We'll have Ubisoft and EA, they're the third parties. Fine. Everybody's fine and happy. You're both maybe not quite even, because Microsoft are still tilting the scales this generation, but Microsoft had to put the boot in. After the Xbox One, Microsoft had to do something because there was a point they said in 2014 where they could have just bowed out the console race because of how badly the launch went for the Xbox One. And if it wasn't for like Phil Spencer and his team coming in and changing things around, they said Xbox wouldn't be around just now. But instead what they done was they sacked some of the guys that didn't have the right vision, that started all the TV stuff and all that. They went, get out, get out, get out. What we need is gaming. And once all those guys come in and started building that, and then Phil Spencer obviously with his Game Pass, it wasn't just Phil Spencer, but he's the figurehead we see. Once his team came with Game Pass and they started making acquisitions, Xbox is set to be the number one by the end of this generation at this moment in time. Not that it's an issue to me because I own both, but that's because Sony after the PS2 sat back with the PS3 and went, fuck it, we'll take a loss. We've made so much, Xbox aren't going to catch up. And they did. And Sony don't learn from history because the 360 overtook the PS3. They knuckled down, PS4 came out and they went, right, let's take it back to them. And they did. They went, take the camera out of the box and they put it £50 less. They were just like that. And then PS4 sold so well and Xbox sunk for 2 years. It took them 3 years to build back public trust. But at that point, PS4 had outsold them. So PS4, Sony went into this generation like, no bother. Microsoft went in and went, more powerful console plus a half-price cheaper version. And we're just going to buy every studio and give you Netflix for games. And Sony went, oh, shit.
And bear in mind that the PS5 came out basically a year early because they rushed the dev of it to get it out in time with the Series X.
Yeah. So there's that, because there was a lot of teething issues. Remember, you couldn't put your console in rest mode for the first year because it would brick it. Yeah, some bad times there. But yeah, like, they're both fine, but it's just like Sony have got some building to do to not just stay in the race, but to stay in the console business, because if PlayStation don't do well and start dipping, they're not going to be like Microsoft and go, we'll win the next one. Sony are going to go pull the plug. We're going to need to invest back in Spider-Man, the movies. They will, because PlayStation isn't viewed the same way. Xbox is just a division of Microsoft. PlayStation is an actual leg of Sony holding them up just now, because Sony's a company weren't doing well for years. And if Sony starts leaking money, they're just going to go bye-bye PlayStation. They'll just cut it off.
Sony, I think Sony for me they have PlayStation, which is probably the main leg, and they have Xperia. The movies. No, Xperias are like a fucking pinky at this point. Like,
they've got music. They've got Sony Music as well.
They've got some music that's like a hand, maybe. Yeah, and stuff like that. But yeah, and they've got still TVs and stuff.
But like I said, they'll cut off the PlayStation leg and crawl rather than let it drip money. They will. Because remember, there was that's why Spider-Man ended up back with Disney, as you know, because Sony were needing the money, and they're like, they were no for Spider-Man and Marvel for years, and then it's like, shit, we're bleeding money, how do we get it back? So offer Disney a deal, we need a cut from that money. And I'm sorry, but if PlayStation are bleeding, they're not going to keep that business afloat. Whereas Microsoft are like,
they're going to sell it to Microsoft.
Yeah, but then there's no competition, because Nintendo don't see Xbox and PlayStation as competition, and vice versa. So then there's no reason for Microsoft to keep going, like, because it's like, well, not Microsoft, Xbox, because it's like there's no competition. It's like, and the good reference is WCW, when it was out years ago, was competition for WWF, and you had the best possible product and best wrestling each week on TV. But then WWF bought WCW, and for decades it was shit, because there was no reason for it to even try, because there wasn't an option until the last few years when there's other companies been built up. But like, at that point, what's the point for Xbox? Yeah, you won, but it's like no one's got options. Options are always good, no matter, like, and arguments are always fun, but at the same time, I really hope PlayStation buys Square and Konami. I really do. Like, more so than I hope Microsoft buys Sega, because if Square and Konami at PlayStation, I know those franchises will get given to good teams, they'll get made well, and Sony will treat them with love and respect. And then that's a big reason. Final Fantasy's only on PlayStation again, Metal Gear's only on PlayStation again, Silent Hill's only in... Do you know what I mean? Like, that makes sense to me. So, even to an extent, Capcom. If Sony reached out and bought Capcom, Resident Evil's PlayStation only again. That makes sense to me. So, well, we'll need to wait and see. But I think Sony has to make another move. But again, Phil said last year before Bethesda, they're buying a Japanese studio that they will announce next year. That's what he said. After they bought Bethesda, That's what he said. They're working on a deal. Then last year he says the announcement about the Japanese-based studio will be made next year. And then all of a sudden Activision, Blizzard came out of nowhere and it's like, what? So we'll wait and see. I don't think it's Square. That's what I'll say. I think Square's either not for sale or it will go to Sony.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, thank you if you've made it this far. Sorry for the kind of mismatch show, and sorry for the graphics disappearing and changing and being sorted about. But Andy was convinced State of Play was tonight, and we were all ready for it. But it's not. We're not doing a Gran Turismo show because even me, that's a fan, I won't have interest in a guy record. We have listened to the cars for many years, vroom vroom vroom, and we have recorded the best possible sound to make Gran Turismo 7 the most realistic racing simulator possible. Vroom, vroom, vroom. And it's like, we have visited racetracks all around the world. That's what it's going to be like. So, no, not for me. I don't even need that when it comes to Forza. It's just like, show me the gameplay, get out. It's a shame. I think Sony needs some sort of show. I really do. I think they need... Where was this announcement about Plus and PS Now coming together? Do you think Activision Blizzard pushed that? Or?
Possibly, yeah. They may have delayed that a little bit.
Do you still think it's happening?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Like that's in the works. Project Spartacus, it's called internally. It's something.
And it was meant to be the movies now and plus for one price, wasn't it? That was what I read.
That was the original leak.
And then they get rid of the movies.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's gonna have like Funimation or something like that in amongst it instead.
I seen that.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
If it is now and plus something else, they need to do better with both now and plus to compete with Game Pass. If that's what they're trying to make it.
To compete with Game Pass, the only thing they can do is make PlayStation exclusives day one, which they're never going to do in my mind. To them, that's still a premium product. They're like, people will buy it, and they're right. Like, people will buy it.
If they just put all of the new games onto now
after a year,
after a certain amount of time, 6 months, a year, whatever. I think that would be fine, and left them there.
Yeah, but
they bring them in like after a year or two, and then they take them back out after a month or two.
No, but they don't put every game in either. Like some games, it's just like no, that's not good to plus. It's like why?
Yep.
Oh, it's a premium franchise. It's been out for 2 years, Sony. Like, come on.
No one's buying it anymore yet.
No, I think it needs to be a year or 6 months, like a bit like what movies have had to do now. You know, like it used to be a year almost, close to a year. Now it's between 3 and 6 months, and it's available to buy on disc, and it's sometimes only a couple of months. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's almost digital to rent the minute it's out the cinema now, which to me, that makes sense, right? Why was it, I know we're finishing up, but why was it never done before that, say like Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Finishes at the cinema. Why then do I have to wait months to buy it? Why not capitalise on it not being at the cinema and going, you can rent it now, you can't buy it. You can rent it. And then like 3 months later, okay, you can buy it now. Hit folk 3 times for it, because there would be folk doing that. So that's, some movies do that, so you can go to the cinema and then you can rent it, but you can't buy it digitally. But yeah, I think that's what they need to do with the PlayStation games, because I mean, some of these Sony exclusives hit a sale on Black Friday after they've launched anyway. So why wouldn't you put them in now?
Yeah,
makes no sense. Like if the game's been out for 6 months, I would consider putting it now. If your sales are slowing or stopped, get it on now. I mean, you're not throwing out Gran Turismo with each... not Gran Turismo. You're not throwing out Grand Theft Auto with each game. Like, sure, Last of Us 3 is going to sell guaranteed, whatever, but you're not throwing out guaranteed money makers that are going to continue selling. The problem with your third-person experiences is, as I said earlier, once the story's done, that's it. It's not like Halo with your online or whatever. It's just play it and great. I liked it or I didn't like it. So that's their problem, and I think that the Bungie will help them with service games a lot, because that's what they're needing now. They need to bring the player base and keep them there. Whereas a lot of people, and you must even admit, your PlayStation this generation's become, okay, I'll play my story-based games there, but most of my multiplayer's done on Xbox. Because that's where everybody is these days, apparently. Because Sony doesn't have anything exclusive to keep me there. Like, they don't have a Halo. Do you know what I mean? They don't have a Forza Horizon. They don't have Sea of Thieves even. Not that I enjoy it, but they don't. So Sony needs something, and Bungie to help them do that. It's going to be a while before you can even pry those guys away from Destiny 2, because they'll want the initial deal to help them realise their vision for Destiny 2.
Yeah.
That would be within the contract. It'll be like, yeah, but here's what we want to do. Here's a roadmap for Destiny. So they'll hire more and more people to try and help them with it so that it can get done quicker, but Like, they've basically just bought Destiny. I don't get it. I don't understand anything. They need to buy Square. They need to 100% buy Square. Or at least buy Konami, like I said. It's mad. Absolute insanity. But yeah, I don't think they're safe. I don't think it's done.
Nope.
Do you know what? Anyway, lastly, do you know what would have saved them a lot of hassle? After Bethesda going, okay, we'll take Game Pass. Then Activision wouldn't have been bought. And it would have been a lot less hassle for them. Because, see, now, the cut for Microsoft, because of their first-party studios, their cut's getting bigger. So, like, say they said to Sony, take Game Pass and we will only take, like, 9%. Now it's going to be like, take Game Pass and we want 12% because you're getting Call of Duty included in that. And it's going to keep going up. But eventually, like, they're going to have to take it because that will stop the buying. That will stop the buying and everything because then Microsoft will be happy. They're like, cool. And then everybody's a winner because it would realistically be a better value proposition to buy a PlayStation because it's the only place you could play Xbox and PlayStation games.
Yeah. I don't think Sony will do that because that involves you being able to earn the Microsoft achievements and being able to log in an Xbox account on your PlayStation. Sony does not want that.
But you have to do that with... They do it already. Minecraft, you have to do that.
Minecraft has to do it. They've made the concession for Minecraft because it's Minecraft, and they might do the same for Call of Duty. But I don't think they'll do it for...
I think 100%. Just to fuck Sony, they're going to say, we need a Microsoft account now for Call of Duty servers. Please sign in.
Oh, yeah, because you have to do it with an Activision account at the moment, do you not?
Yep. So they'll
just change it. They'll just change it to Xbox account. Yeah.
Yep. So you have to log in and create an Xbox account on PlayStation just to annoy Sony. But like I said, solve the problems by just taking Game Pass. Because then guess what? You've won the war. Because see if I'm looking at it then I don't need an Xbox. Then I'll be like, okay, now a PlayStation is worth 10 times because all third-party games are there, all Xbox exclusives are there, and all PlayStations are there, so I don't need my Xbox.
Yeah.
I would legitimately look at selling my Xbox if that happened, because it's like, well, if I can play Gears of War 6 here...
Microsoft probably wouldn't even care either.
No, they wouldn't.
They'd be like, as long as you keep paying us Game Pass money...
That's their end goal. They want Game Pass on TV. They want to come out the console market. That's what I'm reading. They want their service to be the main product. They want Xbox to be Game Pass, and they want to like build games and just be like, okay, you've got a TV, there's Game Pass. We've got a tenner from that guy every single month. Okay, you've got your mobile phone, tenner from that guy. So that everybody in the world has access to Game Pass with whatever technology is in their hand. That's their end goal. And if they can get it on PlayStation first, they've won. Because it's on every app store. It's coming to TVs as it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the stupid thing is, if Sony would like not be so short-sighted and see this and just go, if we allow Game Pass, we're still going to get money from it. Yeah. And we could make a deal with them that it's only Xbox exclusives. Yeah. Huh. So then people would probably buy a PlayStation over an Xbox because you can play both here. Yeah. Well, let's just do that then. That would be my solution instead of going and spending $3.6 billion to get Bungie on board.
I still don't see it happening, but you never know.
No, but you understand the concept behind that. If you take it on, Xbox have no reason to keep this fight up. And then you've got access to every Xbox exclusive game, and you don't have to spend $3.6 billion. They could have avoided that purchase by going, and made money by going, let's get Game Pass on our system. Yeah. Because then I'm going to go, why the fuck have I still got an Xbox? There's going to be people going, do I buy an Xbox where it's just Xbox games or a PlayStation where I can get both?
Yep.
So to me, somebody upstairs is kind of daft. I think Phil Spencer knows that eventually Sony won't be able to say no to it. Eventually they're going to have to bow. Because I think Phil's goal is, I'll just fucking buy everything. He will. But anyway, we'll finish up there. Yep. Thank you very much. Apologies for the mix-up in the middle with the state of play. Let us know what you've thought of Pokemon Legends underneath. I think it's brilliant. Let me know how much Uncharted 3 is better than 2. Do you think it's quite better than 2? Do you think it's a lot better than 2? Or do you think it's just, there's not even a question if it's better than 2 or not? There's nothing below that scale. It's either slightly, a lot, or there's no question. So just let me know how much better Uncharted 3 is than 2, and we can get all the liars like this man here exposed for their Uncharted 2 blasphemy. But anyway, we'll see you here next Tuesday. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching.